When I first saw that the Galaxy A25 will be powered by the Exynos 1280, I was like, oh boy, not again. This actually better be good. I guess 2 years and One UI 6 is enough to actually have it fully optimized on all fronts. The Samsung Galaxy A25 is actually looking good on specs when you compare it to its predecessor, the A24. Higher refresh rate, 5G, better processing, and improved cameras amongst other things. But how well do these specs on paper make for a good user experience? It is running Exynos, which is not exactly a fan favorite. Well, it's Galaxy Unpacked season and everyone is talking about the S24 series, but I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people out there who still want to know about the budget end of Samsung devices, even in Unpacked season. So let's talk about the A25. Now, the Galaxy A25 was released in December last year and it became available in the market in January. I've actually had it since like the last week of December. As of now, you could call it the highest of the A series for 2024 since the A35 and A55 are yet to be released. Those should come soon. As at the time of this video, the Galaxy A25 is priced at about 305,000 in Naira or $250 for the base version if I've converted correctly. That comes with 6 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs of internal storage. For this region, we are also getting the 8 gig version with 256 gigs of storage, which costs more. Now, as we've come to expect from Samsung, you're not getting a charging brick or any accessories with the A25 aside the USB-C cable. Also on the SIM slot, we get a hybrid type which allows for using either dual nano SIM cards or a single SIM card if you intend to use a micro SD card. Now the A25 compared to the Galaxy A24, at first glance you could see not much has changed when it comes to the display design, as using a U-notch is something Samsung is not letting go of anytime soon. But on the overall design, there are subtle improvements which have actually refined the design in such a way you could say it's much better than its predecessor. The frame is flatter, so it can now stand upright on a flat surface without support. However, it's not all flat. Where we have the volume and power keys, there is slight elevation. Now there is a possibility we might see this button design with the A35 and A55, or maybe not, but you can find it on the A15. The rear, I believe, is plastic built, but the material is nicer to the touch than what we had on the A24. I'd say it's somewhere between matte and glass, so it doesn't really attract smudges much. There's a nice pattern underneath the back panel, more like tiny checkered patterns. It looks cool. This color Samsung calls yellow. It looks more on the lemon side of yellow if you ask me. Yellow is what's behind me. But there are a few other interesting colors for the A25 should you want something else. Now in terms of build quality, it is not the strongest from my experience so far. I dropped it just once outside while using it and I already have some ugly dents. You might want to get a case for this or be very careful with it. Also, there is no specified IP rating for the A25, so you might want to be careful with it around water. Now to the display, we already complained about its U-notch, so let's move on to other properties. As an upgrade from last year's device, we're getting a 120Hz refresh rate display, which makes for an improved user experience with scrolling and animations. That alongside the improvements of One UI 6 of course, but we'll get to the software later. You are only able to choose between 60 and 120Hz in the settings. You either choose 60 for longer battery life and less smoother animations, or 120Hz, which is the default out the box. You get a vibrant AMOLED display with 1080p resolution. It's actually pretty vibrant and you can see that if you have the right wallpaper. 6.5 inches in size and a peak brightness of 1000 nits. It's a good display for media consumption as long as you're not picky about the U-notch. Compared to the Galaxy A24, aside the higher refresh rate, the display specifications actually remain the same. Now speaking of media consumption, we actually get stereo speakers here. If I remember, the A24, if I remember correctly, does not actually have stereo speakers. So that's welcome improvement. The sound quality from the speakers are great. I have no complaints whatsoever. Commendable of Samsung to finally add that. Now in using the Galaxy A25, I noticed at first that the haptics were subtle, barely noticeable, but you can adjust the strength of vibration feedback to be stronger. For software, we get the A25 with One UI 6 and Android 14 right out the box. The software experience of One UI 6 has been great. I can't say flawless because there have been a few disappointments, which I'll probably attribute to Exynos rather than One UI, but we'll get into that detail later. Now, a noticeable improvement to the software is the addition of screen recording to the system. This was not possible with the A24 even with One UI 6, but we can now do that here. Now, I love that One UI 6 brings some UI changes, especially to the quick panel. That was long overdue. But I hate that the icons became bigger and we still don't get any option to adjust the size. It's no longer news with Samsung software update policy. 4 years of OS upgrades is guaranteed for the A25 and it's the most you are going to get for any phone at this price point. Since it launched with Android 14, that supports up to Android 18. Now, what should you expect from this device as an average user? Now, in my day-to-day usage of the A25, performance has not exactly been up to my expectations. Now, not that I had the highest expectations though, based on my past experience with previous Exynos 1280 power devices. Case in point, the Galaxy A53. But I expected Samsung to have dealt with the Exynos problem, if you get what I mean. And the performance is great for the most part, but there are subtle lags within the system which I really didn't experience with the lower Galaxy A15, which is a Helio G99 power device. You should actually check out my review on that. Now, sometimes when you unlock the phone, it just takes a few seconds, even when it's a side-mounted fingerprint scanner, which should actually be the fastest unlocking method. Now, it doesn't happen all the time, but it happens occasionally and it can be annoying. Not too annoying if you're not nitpicky like me. Other times it could be you trying to use the device after it's idle for some time and it takes a while to respond. And sometimes it's shutter lag. Imagine being on the move and taking a photo only to get home and find out you ended up with this shot. Now, with the amount of time Samsung has had with the Exynos 1280, I expected it to be well optimized by now, but that's not the case. Granted, it's significantly better than my initial experience with the Galaxy A53, but I think it can actually be better. But hey, not to nitpick too much. Is it a deal breaker? No. These occurrences are occasional and not in a way that I would say it affects user experiences significantly. Nor in a way I'd say the device is not recommendable. An average user might probably see it as normal. The Galaxy A25, by virtue of the Exynos 1280, now has 5G. I've used it with both Airtel and MTN here in Nigeria and it works great. Occasionally the device hits up a bit on 5G, but it's nothing inconvenient or unexpected. Also, it's worthy of note that the battery life even with 5G enabled is actually solid. I've never had to disable 5G just to preserve battery life. And on days I went out to the A25 as my primary device, I actually had no worries by the end of my day. Of course, if you demand more from your smartphone, say you do a lot of regular gaming activity paired with 5G usage, and you are definitely going to need to recharge this device at least once. Now, on the topic of charging, 25 watts remains the standard for the A25, and to power up its 5000 mAh battery within 75 to 80 minutes if fully drained, or a 50% quick boost in 30 minutes, I believe. Now, let's talk a little more about the Exynos 1280. I already complained of the lapses on the processor on day-to-day performance, but how about gaming? From my experience, there is consistency in the gaming performance and with no heating concerns. The playable graphics settings on the games I tried did not get the device to overheat or lag even with long sessions of gaming. Call of Duty Mobile allows graphics settings up to high with very high frame rate. You can play at max frame rate if you set the graphics to low. With PUBG Mobile, you can go no higher than HD and high frame rate. Reducing the graphics to low does not provide additional frame rate options. I'll say the game performance is solid, graphics is great, and I actually have nothing to complain about. Now, in the camera department, specifications remains the same as its predecessor, except for an improved 8MP ultra-wide camera. The selfie camera also remains 13 megapixels. The cameras on the Galaxy A25 performs impressive. I'll say it's one of the best in its price category if you are excluding the used older smartphones. Aside the occasional shutter lag, the camera does great with photos. In less than ideal lighting conditions, it also does fairly decent. The selfie camera photos are impressive, skin tones are great, results come out sharp, and even better when you turn off the default smoothing. If you are picking up the A25, its camera performance will definitely not be a concern. It is able to shoot 4K videos at 30 frames per second. This is an upgrade from the 1080p recording we got on its predecessor. However, it can only record 4K from the rear camera. It gets optical image stabilization, but it works best at 1080p. You can also use Super Steady if you don't mind the results in 1080p. The Samsung Galaxy A25 is a device I can say is solid and it's a decent upgrade from its predecessor, though I don't think it has enough to make you upgrade from the A24 unless you want 5G. That is not to say it doesn't have enough features over the A24. It gets a more refined design at a better build quality, 120Hz display, stereo speakers, 4K video recording, and a more complete version of One UI, with screen recording and all. Now, that's pretty much a summary of where it has improved over the Galaxy A24. It's a device I can recommend, and I could also say Samsung should fix those occasional lags or delays in the software, but at this point it's likely an Exynos problem and nothing much can be done about it. Thankfully, it doesn't affect user experience enough to be a major concern. Now, around the price point of this device, you have the likes of Redmi's Note 13 Pro 4G with a Helio G99 Ultimate. I believe Tecno's Spark 20 Pro Plus will fall in close price range too. That is all from me on the Galaxy A25. You can check out my review of the A15 this way. Peace.